And it's time. Welcome everyone to CyberCast IRL. Today is Friday, March the 28th of 2025. Can you believe we've made it this far? We've come this far. Episode 21, ready to get fired off. We are having a fun day already because chat is going crazy. Jerry over at Simply Cyber is well, he's doing stuff with his family today. So he cut the morning show off a little bit early, no jaw jacking. So everybody kind of just congregated over in the chat for CyberCast IRL. Speaking of, big welcome to everyone that is joining us today. Of course, we got Wayne's Real World in here. We've got Raymond Cruz. We've got The Pain, Max T, TJ Williams, Kyle. Jesse John, is Jesse Johnson here? The Haircut Fish is definitely here. We got Dave and Tui. We've got Luke Canfield. That's right, Jeffrey Johnson. Not Jesse Johnson. Jeffrey Johnson's here. Mr. Gunkel. Lots of good folks. Thank you all. Super User Do. Abe. That's right. I'm just trying to make some. We've had so much chat and so many people. I'm having to scroll back super far. Outlaw 11, of course, is joining us today. Poner Joe, Code Brew. Whew, man, it looked like Kyle was the first one in chat. Well, welcome everyone. Of another day of cybersecurity stuff. Max T, I kind of want to address a comment you made. You were talking about. You wanted to talk about Doge. And then you made a comment that says, dodging politics when it is clearly relevant is absolutely absurd. I'm not dodging politics. I just want to address that. This is not a show about, I don't want to get into a political conversation. If it is relevant to cybersecurity, like, hey, CISA has put out a warning for such and such, or the US government was hacked, or something to that effect, then yeah, that's cybersecurity related. Totally, we'll talk about that. But whether or not someone's political viewpoints is relevant or good or bad is not something I want to get into in this show. So I hope you understand that. And it's because we got plenty of that going on in other areas of the world. I know I sure do. I'm sure you do as well. That's not what I want this show to be about. I just want it to be about the strict part of cyber. So if there is something relevant that's going on there, by all means, put it in there. And if I think if I agree that is a relevant thing to talk about, I absolutely will. I'm not dodging anything. So hopefully that answers that question for you. But good morning, everybody. It is time for, you know what it's time for, right? Got the camo cup. Now, everybody likes to guess what color monster will we be using today? And the question is not which one will I be using, but which one will you choose? Because there they are. We've got Ultra Paradise, which is green, and we've got Ultraviolet, which is purple. Kind of got some Hulk colors going on, right? The green and purple, the OG Hulk with his purple pants. Which ones do you guys think that I should drink today? First thing I see in the chat is the one I'm going to go for. So go, anyone. Yeah, go, hit it, chat. Anything? Nothing yet. Oh! Feels like a green day, says TJ Williams. Is that a pun? Is that a pun right there? Is that a music reference? It looks like it will be Ultra Paradise for our morning pour. Good job, TJ, getting it in there. Are we ready? Are we ready to do the thing? Let me get the mic squared away. We gotta. Oh yeah, that was a good open right there. And the pour. I didn't want to. Oh, it's a good one. Lots of froth. The pour is steady and doing well. It's not overflowing. Don't you love that sound? Isn't that the best sound? Tap. Comes the ice. And thank you, TJ. That was a good call. Let's put the lid on this thing before I knock it over and destroy all my stuff. I don't know if you can see, but I've started putting them up here, empty cans. Get them out of the way. We'll have a nice little row of cans, of monster cans going across the top of the amp there. That'll be fun. Well, all right. Let's see here. We see some other folks are rolling in. We see Tech Ricky. There's Luke J. Luke J said green. I was never a grape fan. Yeah, I think we've had that conversation before, right? Yeah, ultraviolet does sound cool, doesn't it, Kyle? It is my favorite. This is, I mean, full disclosure, this is definitely that blue one though. That blue Hawaiian, that sucker is fairly tasty though. Oh, we got to get it. We got to go. And there we go. Okay. No, I'm gonna put that here. That's what I need. I'm all discombobulated. I'll tell you what, Jerry not having jaw jacking and all that stuff has thrown just about all of us for a loop this morning. But it was for a good cause. So if I'm off my game, I will blame Jerry, but then I will blame myself. Because he's doing it for a good cause. His son is getting an award. He's got to be there. Family first, right? It's always the case. And sometimes things do disrupt our little shows here. It's happened to me already a couple of times where I've had to go on a trip or things of that nature. I try to pick Fridays to make things easy, right? But it has been like everything wants to steal my Friday from me. Well, all right, let's see here. We are already getting at it. Let's check the chat here and see what's going on. I do have some topics to jump on this morning, but I just want to make sure I haven't missed any interesting questions. Oh, yes, duh. Again, cuckoo, right? Losing my mind. If you're new to the channel, here's how this works. This is CyberCast IRL, which means we talk about cybersecurity on a live stream format, and it's in real life. You want to say something about anything, right? Latest hack, a vulnerability that you are reading about, a certification you're studying for, the industry at large, just anything about it, and hot takes, man. Anything you like. If you're mad at something, say it. If you don't like a cert, I can't stand CompTIA, right? This is the place for you to rant with us and air those feelings out and have that catharsis together and work our way through it. Because sometimes it is good to have that chat, right? And that's what I built this off. So if you got something to say, if you got something specific you want me to see, obviously everybody in the chat is kind of watching everybody and talking and conversing. It's always fun. It's always, I love reading back through this and seeing what everybody says. It's always like my favorite pastime after I get done with the show is to read through the chats that I missed. But if you got something you want to hit me with, make sure that you at my name, at Daniel Lowry. That way it pops up nice and red. And then you can ask your question and I can see it, or make your comment and I can see it, and then we can address it. That said, let's see here. All right. First one in the chat was Luke. He said, I am secret simulcast watching you do the morning pour. That's funny. Oh, that's cool. Is that your own YouTube channel, buddy? That's awesome. Secret simulcast. I like that. That is, well, we're gonna have to look that up. Hold on. We gotta give Luke some love here, man. Let's go into the PC. Let's go to, I'm gonna grab your link there, bro. See if I can get a hold of that thing. Copy, and paste, and go. Booyah. Cyber Research -US. There it is. Oh man, the secret is out. I'm not signed in. So I will subscribe. Don't worry. It will happen. It will happen. Everybody give Luke some love. Go out there and subscribe to his channel. He is a smart man, has a lot of cool stuff to talk about. So I would want to hear about it. I know that for sure. Let's see here. White Hat Sheepdog says, just wanted to let everyone know that there is a free cert from Mastermind called ISO IEC. Oh, so it's a 27001 lead auditor that also comes with a Credly badge as well for a limited time only. So jump on that. Thank you for the heads up, White Hat Sheepdog. We appreciate that. By the way, if I miss something, there's a certain someone lurking in the chat. His name is Wayne. Wayne's Real World. If I'm not catching you, maybe hit Wayne up. Wayne will definitely make sure that I get to see it. He will pester me until I see and make sure that we address something if I'm missing stuff. So he's there helping us out. And he says Hulk. That's right. Let's see. White Hat Sheepdog says, I think that Daniel's a bartender. He just won't admit it. I've had many jobs. Bartender was never one of them. Can you believe that? Which is funny. Oh, click the live tab, says Luke J. Okay, let's go back. Click the live tab. There it is. SQL. Oh, you got my last name wrong, brother. Lowrie. That's the way we spell Lowry. But very cool. Look at that. That is too funny. That's awesome, bro. Luke says bouncing was fun. You were a bouncer at one time? I've known some bouncers. I've never been bounced because I behave myself. Most of the time. Luke, you're awesome, brother. This has been a fun morning. I see Mustache ID says, Wade's Real World, we came to talk to you. Don't tell Dan. Too late. Thank you, Nataraj, for smashing that like button. We appreciate that. No problem. Listen, it is an easy thing. That is the most common spelling. Luke says he's apologizing for spelling my name wrong. Not a problem. It is a common thing that happens. And the way you spelled it is one of the more common ways. My family has a very uncommon way of spelling it. Probably because there's so many iterations of it, because most of the people that were illiterate and didn't know how to write. So whoever wrote their name down when they came to America probably just did the best they could. Well, okay, because it's Scottish. All right, let's see. Let's get into cyber chat today, right? I do have stuff I want to talk about. And the first thing I want to do, let's go back to the PC. And goodbye, thank you. Get rid of Luke here. Is Jerry gave us some homework. And I thought, well, that'll be fun. Let's go take a look at that. His homework was, hey, check out these top 3 MS Office exploits that hackers use in 2025. Stay alert. Yep. So this is funny, right? Because here we are in 2025, and MS Office is still one of the primary exploit vectors for threat actors to gain access into your system. Isn't that a crazy thing? Can you believe that this is the world we still live in? But hey, if it works, threat actors are pragmatic. They don't care, right? They don't have to be cool and come up with the coolest thing. They are like, if it works, I'm using it. So ultimately, I read this article right before we got in here. I thought this would be fun to look at. Let's just take a look at these things and see what we see and kind of discuss them. There we go. I made it nice and big there. Let's get with number 1 here. Phishing in MS Office, still hackers' favorite. That's absolutely right. Hackers love a good phish. Why, you might ask? Because they work. And an Office document, either that be a docx file with Word or an Excel file, 2 of the heavy hitters, right, is always going to be one of the go-tos, because people download them and they want to look at them. It's a common thing to do, and they don't think much of it. They're in their work mode. They're in their whatever, I got to get stuff done mode. So they're just like, oh, I got a file. I got to look at this. Let me blah, 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 right? And uh-oh, that was a phish, right? I clicked the link. That was a phish. No, I've done the bad thing. And then they've like, do I call and tell IT about this? Maybe they don't even know. Maybe I can get away. Right? And they just start to feel like they've done something wrong. They want to hide from it. They are shamefaced. But no. We want to encourage them. Call us. Please tell us. Let us know immediately. You're not in trouble. We need to just get at this thing, right? That's one of the things I always try to promote, is that if you build a good culture around what happens if you do make a mistake, and it's not, you're fired, right? Because that's the number one fear. Everyone's afraid. They don't want to lose their job, right? Even if they don't even like their job, they still don't want to lose it, because that doesn't do well for them to get their next job. Oh, what happened to your last job? Well, here's the thing, I clicked on a phishing link and that got me infected with some Russian APT. And they didn't like that, apparently. And then I hid it from them because I was scared of losing my job, and they fired me. So, yeah, that's not the story anybody wants to tell when it comes to the work history gap, I guess are the words. So let's go back. Phishing attacks using Microsoft Office files have been around for years. They're still going strong. Why? Because they work. Duh. Especially in business environments where teams are constantly exchange Word and Excel documents. Look at that. Attackers know that people are used to opening Office files. That's exactly right. If they come from what looks like a colleague, a client, or a partner, a fake invoice, a shared report, a job offer, right? Especially if you don't like your job, these things become very tantalizing bait. Doesn't take much to convince someone to click, and once the file is open, booyah, you're done. And of course, phishing files can be like links to fake Microsoft 365 login pages. I'm thinking of things like Evil Jinx, just even like the social engineering toolkit has the ability to do that. There's GoFish out there, right? I've talked about phishing is a really interesting field of study, and can be an interesting field, a career field as well, is to become very good at phishing. So that you can do phishing campaigns as a part of red team operations, or as just a part of the end user security awareness training, right? A lot of times companies will give their employees end user security awareness training and then test them by maybe a week or two later by doing a phishing campaign to see if they can get users to click the links even right after they taught them not to do that. And guess what? There are those that did not get the memo, even though they took training and completed it, that they shouldn't click phishing links, and they still do. So yeah, way to go. There is one cool thing about this specific article. Actually, before we get to that, let me check the chat. Let me check the chat. I know I missed a thing or two here. I've missed a thing or two. Let's see here. There we are. I'm just trying to find my. Luke J says, "My wife loved that you called me out last week. Honestly, I love watching too." Yeah. What are you gonna do? Tell your wife. Good for her. Thank you for keeping you an honest man. Right. My wife does the same thing. All right. Cool. Yeah. I'm just looking at good talk about phishing. Let's see here. Nothing specifically toward me. Employees don't care. That does happen. There are some employees that do care, and some employees that just don't give a shiitake mushroom whether or not they click a link. They just do whatever. YOLO, right? The question then becomes, how do I get them to care? How do I get them to give a crap about that? And I think that building a culture, and because I've seen this work, to where it's fun and engaging and something that like everybody's kind of doing, can be a useful tactic in getting people to buy in to your cybersecurity, I don't know, footprint, whatever you want to say, like the buy into cybersecurity, that they should be doing it, that it is a good thing, not just for the company, but for them as well. It's just good practices. They're doing it at work. They're going to be doing it at home. How many of us, because we know about this stuff, modify how we live online so that we stay safer, right? And that's just because we know about it and we understand how that works itself out, what the consequences and repercussions and ramifications, all the other. I got to get my thesaurus out to continue down that laundry list of this will happen when you do these things, right? We go, oh yeah, we don't want that to happen. So how do I make people care? Make it fun, right? This is one of those times where it's okay to make this like an us versus them kind of thing. Like they're the bad team, we're the good team, and let's make fun of them. Let's make jokes and memes and have a good time about them. And one of the cool things that you can do, so I would be shocked if you're not using something like Microsoft Teams at your daily job, if you're in an office environment. So make a Teams channel that's all about phishing, right? Hey, phishing, got this phishing campaign, saw this phishing. And everybody, if you get a fish, take a screenshot, drop it here. Tell us all about it, and then let's make fun of them, right? Oh, geez, yeah, I'm going to go buy 20 Apple gift cards for our CEO, right? Then it becomes fun. It becomes engaging, and people like it and enjoy it. And now they want to be a part of that. That's a great way. It's not foolproof, obviously, but it's another way, right? It's just like we layer our defenses, we layer buy-in to people utilizing these defenses. And if I can get them to care about it, that's going to go a long way into making our organization a whole lot more safe, and them as well. So that's just throw your thoughts on and everything in the chat on that. That could be interesting if you guys have some good techniques and tactics for getting people to buy in that normally just wouldn't give a dang. Right? So let's see here. Tech Ricky says, I deployed KnowBe4 to our clients when I worked at an MSP. Always fun time talking to the help desk guys after go live. Yep, that's always fun, right? Luke J says, of course I clicked the link. It was there. It said click me. I clicked it. Let's see here. Kyle says, I just want to put a yard sign and stickers everywhere. Just now we have the posters in the stairwell. That's right. Do it, man. Start the campaign. They can't stop you, right? They could just, like, you can always beg for forgiveness later. Like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing I couldn't do. Let's see here. This comes from White Hat Sheepdog. A great expert in the field of email security is Josh Kamju, Kamdjou, and his company called Sublime Security. He's a great teacher. I took his course at DEF CON last year. Very cool. Thank you for the resource. Let's see what else we got here. Outlaw 11 says companies also show how much they care about the training when it's an hour-long interactive quiz. People dread online mandatory training. They absolutely do. Buy some food, get some charisma, get a charisma trainer. Yeah, I mean that's a great technique because you're absolutely right. I remember when I first started having to take that end user security awareness training, and it was like, oh, please, man, I know this stuff already, and it was just like a drudgery. Plus, it wasn't very engaging. It wasn't very fun. So you're absolutely right. If you make it this mandatory training, it's just a bad way of putting it. Don't tell people it's mandatory, even though it kind of is. What we do is we say, hey, everybody's got to get together. And larger companies, that's difficult, right? So you might have to work it down to some strategy with maybe going at each department individually and working through them to kind of keep it small and what's the word I'm looking for? If you try to take too big of a bite, it kind of loses some of the impact. So maybe if you go with smaller chunks throughout the organization, you eventually work your way through, and maybe make that cyclical where you're kind of working your way through. Once you get to the end, you start back at the beginning, kind of thing. But yeah, you got to do something. You can't just go, here's your mandatory training. Like, that's just something you click your way through until you're done. And then you go, I did the thing. I got the certificate. I got the email that says I completed. I can check that off in my HR report or whatever the case is. Oh, let's see here. Anything else? Employees hate training. Yeah, you're absolutely right. If they click on a phishing email, they should give them more training, and I bet they would be more. The negative reinforcement, right? If you click on the training, if you click on the phishing link, you will get the more training. We will more train you. You want less training? You don't click the links. That's funny. Let's see. We ask you, do you want to cover? Okay. That's from Wayne's Real World. I don't know what you're talking about there, but here we go. I do see Kyle has a cue there. Remember, if you want me to make sure, I just happen to see that one, Kyle, but if you want to make sure that I see it, make sure to @ Daniel Lowry first and then ask your question. And that way it really pops out and I can see it easily. Mass emails and comms are policed by our PIO. Any advice for not breaking policy, but still launch proactive awareness activities? Mass emails and comms. Yeah. I think that's one of the great things about doing something like, so if you're running Slack or if you're using Teams or whatever communications channels that are kind of like live, create a channel that's specifically for that way. Cause yeah, I understand not wanting to have mass stuff just blasted out to the world. It's very distracting to people trying to do the work. It's one of my big complaints is that we tend to have conversations with each other in bulk chat. It's like, can you guys take that private? I don't need bling, 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 thinking it's a work thing when it's just you guys talking about like what your favorite flavor of chips are today. I don't care. I'm glad you guys care. It's not a mean thing. It's just that take that private. I don't want to hear. But this is something that it wouldn't be intrusive. That's why I like that method. It's not intrusive. People can just go there and look and see. And if people are talking about it, oh man, did you see that fish meme? That was so funny. And they're like, oh, I didn't check they can just go to the channel when they have the time, and it'll make them want to engage. And that way it's not interfering and interjecting itself into their day to day. So yeah. Okay. All right. So, Wayne's Real World is clarifying. We asked end users, what topics do you want to see? Oh, that's a great way of going. All right. Get them to buy in. Oh, this is what I want to see. Cool. Okay. So let's go back into this thing, because I wanted to play around with this, because it has this article, by the way, is basically a advertisement for any.run, as you can see right there, any.run. And if you click on that, I'm going to right click and just make sure it opens in a different tab, because I don't want to lose my spots. But here's any.run showing you what this all looks like. And there's a lot of cool stuff that you can get from any. It's one of the sandbox environments that you can go play around with. So you get a login, and then you can upload malicious or suspected malicious files and throw that in it, and it will analyze it. It will run it. Here, this is a video of this happening, so this is like a demo of this specific attack. But you can look down here and see all this stuff. You can click on, get more information about it. Lots of really cool stuff. You can see this is msedge.exe, and it's showing like 100. Like this is bad. This is not real. It's bad. And you can do some malware analysis if it actually is. You can find out whether or not it might be actually malware. You can see what it does. You can run it and see what it actually does. And then this any.run system will actually kind of like do some auto analysis for you and let you see what that looks like by being all these lovely clickable things. You can look at the different connections, right? I can see what it's connecting to. I see some Germany flags and US flags and British flags and things. It's letting you know where those IPs live geographically. And then what these processes do. And you can see this is like running some Cloudflare looking thing, even though it's actually not Cloudflare. You can look at DNS requests that are doing and any threats that it possibly thinks. You see not suspicious, but there's one right there. Possible suspicious. Phishing, any.run, suspected phishing domain. Oh yeah, .ru, that's probably not where I'm going, right? So you can get all that information. It's a really cool interface. I do like any.run. And like I said, this whole article is basically because each one of the different types of Microsoft attacks that they're saying is most common, the top 3 MS Office exploits, as it were, they all do an any.run analysis session that you can take a look at. So definitely check out this article. I'll throw the article, copy that, throw that in chat for you. Paste. Bam. Enjoy. And now you can follow the bouncing ball if you didn't find it already, which is in the Hacker News. But there you go. Make it easy for you. You can click the link and go play with this. So definitely sign up for any.run there. I think it does have a free tier that you can mess around with this. They're not the only game in town. One that I just like to go to Google and search for like malware analysis Sandbox. And we should probably get a few. Yeah, thank you. Like hybrid analysis. This is one I've used. Free automated. Again, I think you got to sign up for it. What's another one? There's any.run, Joe Sandbox. What is another one? There's another one that I'm familiar with. Cuckoo, CrowdStrike's as Sandbox analysis. There was another one. What was it wasn't hybrid analysis. Man, there was one off the top of my head. I can't think of it right now. Let's just see here. Sandbox. Let's try a different for malware files. Let's just look at. Let's see what's going on here. Probably going to get the same kind of thing. Hybrid, any.run. What is the name of that one I'm thinking of? Josh Mason is here. Woo! I just happened to look at chat. Anyway, there's a few of them that you can play around with. They're not the only game in town. There's quite a few of them that are out there. I'm truly desperate if I'm going to the second page of Joe Security. Weird. Anyway, yeah. What's up, Josh Mason? Good to see you, brother. Welcome to the show. But let's go back. So play around with those, get those logged in. So that was phishing, right? Phishing works just about any time. And then there, it's kind of walking you through what we just looked at with the live thing. And eventually takes you to this fake Microsoft login page, which looks legit, but because we're able to see things like this is not the URL you are looking for, you can know that it's not the real thing. All right, look at number 2 here. The equation editor exploit that won't die. CVE 2017-11882. Let's go take a look at that. Even though it does have an analysis for us. I guess we got this up. We'll use this. Here we go. I always miss that. There we go. All right, details. Details. We need the deets, as we say. Come on, you can do it. Anyway, we'll go here. We'll let the hacker news. It's still trying to load NVD. Thank you. This CV is currently being enriched by team members. But here's the description, which is Microsoft Office 2007 Service Pack 3, Microsoft Office 2010 Service Pack 2. This is the affected systems, Microsoft Office 2013 and 2016. So if you're running local installs of Microsoft Office, an attacker can run arbitrary code in the context of the current user by failing to properly handle objects in memory, aka Microsoft Office memory corruption vulnerability. Bada bing, bada boom. It says it's pretty high on the list of CVSS scoring. We get a 7.8 out of that. But what's the problem, right? This vulnerability targets the Microsoft equation editor. Let me do this for you. You can see everything. A rarely used component that was part of older Office builds. Exploiting it is dangerously simple. Just opening a malicious Word file can trigger the exploit. No macros, no clicks needed. In that case, the attacker uses the flaw to download and run a malware payload in the background, often through a remote server connection. Our analysis session in the payload. So you can, again, go play around with this. We click on that. It takes us to the any.run page, and you can see how this works. So that should be a lot of fun. Watch that go, how that works. The fact that you don't even have to do anything other than open the dang email, that seems sketch. That's it, right? Isn't that what it said? Or is it just opening the file? It says, where did it say that? Just opening the malicious Word file. There we go. Can trigger the exploit. So you do have to download it. And hopefully you've got some solution that says, es no bueno. We don't like this bad. Be gone with you, right? And there you go. So equation editor is not your friend, which does bring up the idea that, like, are there people still installing Microsoft Office 2016? The answer is yes. Yeah, I haven't a sip of my goodness yet. Right? Like, but the question really is why? Why do you have that? Some people just, like, they don't think to update. They don't have that turned on. You know, it could be just rando users out there. They're like, hey, it's working. Small shops that don't really have any maturity to their cybersecurity program, if one at all, or any thought toward it. So smaller businesses, even some smaller mid-sized businesses, probably there's going to be a handful of those out there as well that just don't think about it. Hey, things are working. We're doing Office stuff and it works. And there you go. You got a whole section of the world that bootlegs these types of software and runs them. And because they're bootlegged, they don't get updates. And therefore, they're not going to get updated, leaving them open and susceptible to attack. All right. So there's a laundry list of reasons why people don't update, some of them better than others as far as, like, them being good reasons. But at the end of the day, you got to weigh that risk reward. And there is a risk to running older software, and especially if it's not being updated or can't be updated. You've got to either figure out some secondary control mechanism, or it's time to look into some other solution that doesn't have that problem. And yeah, that can be difficult that can be a drudgery to kind of work your way through. What's more of a drudgery, doing that or going, hey, boss, you remember how we had files on the server that we could access? You'll notice I use the word had in the past tense, and that's because you're going to laugh. Yeah, ransomware apparently has crypto locked everything. We can't get access to it, and we don't have backups either. That's something we should have got on a little quicker than we did. So we're host. It's ransom pay time or whatever you're going to do. I don't know. Maybe you're just going to burn it all down and rebuild. But at the end of the day, that is not where you want to be. That is not the conversation you want to end up having. So upgrading is less of a lift than going through a ransomware attack or any other type of breach. Okay? Just putting that out there in case you were wondering. That's an objective fact. Just do the upgrades. Create and develop a program and plan and a schedule that you maintain and keep and stick to. Make it a policy even, right? And let there be sanctions if you do not follow said policy. And that way you can assure that you will stay out of the weeds, at least as best you can, right? I say assure with whatever probability. It's going to be higher. Let me put it that way. It will give you a higher probability of not being the target, or at least a breach target. I love all the qualifiers. We keep having to qualify the statements. There's always some like edge case where that is not the case, right? So, okay, let's get to the third one. Then we can move on with our topics. Let's see here. What is the next one on the list? There it is. Another CVE. This one's from 2022. So a little bit, not so old. Follina, still in the game. The Follina exploit, CVE 2022-30190, continues to be a favorite among attackers for one simple reason. Again, it works. And without macros. Doesn't require any user interaction beyond opening the Word file. Follina abused the Microsoft Support Diagnostic Tool, the MSDT, and special URLs embedded in Office documents to execute the code. Let me make sure you can see the whole article here. That means just viewing the file is enough to launch malicious scripts, often PowerShell-based, that contact a command and control server. So Follina is still out in the world doing its thing. Oh, it says in our malware analysis sample, the attack went a step further. We observed the Stego campaign tag, which indicates the use of steganography, which is technically used for not technically, but what they tend to use Stego for nowadays is to exfiltrate data or you can bring. I've used Stego for the purposes of command and control, right? So the agent or the beacon or whatever you want to say is reaching out for command and control, and it's just grabbing image files. But within those images is embedded commands to run. And then it destegos that, grabs the command, runs the command, embeds that information or does some sort of encryption or uses or some, side channel, not side channel, but covert channel. That's the word I'm looking for. Covert channel to send that information back. Pick your poison, have a good time. C2s are fun, but that is what we can see from time to time with that. So very cool that it's using Stego. The image is downloaded and processed using PowerShell, extracting the actual payload without raising immediate alarms. Yeah, so that's not something I made up, right? That's just a tried and true tactic. What this means for teams using MS Office, your teams will rely heavily on MS Office, or if your team does rely heavily on Office for day-to-day work, again, hold on, here we go. There it is. The attack method, the attacks mentioned above. I want to say attack methods mentioned above, so I will. Should be a wake-up call. Cybercriminals know Office files are trusted and widely used in business. That's why they continue to exploit them. Here's what you can do. Yay. Review how Office documents are handled internally. Limit who can open or download files from outside sources. Well, that's going to be easier said than done, but it is definitely something you should push for. I know that in organizations that I've worked for, we just don't allow for certain file types. Yes, there are ways around that, but again, layered defense. Don't just leave it open. Yeah, it's so easy to bypass. So what? Don't just want to hand them things. So you definitely want to dissuade any malicious file types from being allowed to be downloaded or used inside of email or communications. It's just a good way to keep things safe. Always going to have exceptions. So that's the job, right? Is working through that. Then it says use tools like any.run and the Sandbox to inspect suspicious files in safe environment. Like we saw, very cool. Yes, I mean just as something as simple as, man, my brain is not on today. I want to say Malwarebytes. It's not Malwarebytes. It is. Oh my goodness! Why is my head not working? You upload the file. It's an analysis tool. I cannot think of it. Oh, let's see here. File analysis tool online. What the hell is it called? Not hybrid analysis. VirusTotal. Bam. Huh. Use something as simple as VirusTotal. They even have an API. Man, my brain is not cooking today, people. Let's see here. Update all Office software regularly. Like we talked about that already, right? Disable legacy features like macros or the equation editor, if possible, of course. Since it is a rarely used feature, that equation editor, that should be a simple lift. I can see macros getting a little more kickback. But I like to just go ahead and say, you know what, this is what we're doing, and we'll see who complains, and then maybe make an exception for just them. And there you go. Let's see here. Stay informed about new exploit techniques tied to Office formats. That's right. Read things like this. Read articles. Stay on top of it. Go through the news every day. You got to get your personal CTI kind of going on, right? Join us for shows like Jerry's show, my show. Luke's getting already to obviously spin things up and keep going. Like there's plenty of stuff out there, BHIS, and it's like, you name it, man. There's tons of stuff out there to play around with. All right, so that was a fun little article. I think we did our homework. Thanks, Jerry, for assigning that to us. Let me check the chat. I've been so busy talking about this. Let's see here. Where was I? Where did I leave off? Looks like the last thing I saw was from David Toohey. He says, Nessus has a free 1-week trial. Handy for trying it out. It sure does. I would recommend it. The Pain, I just happened to see your question, but if you really want to make sure that I see that question, and that gets to me, make sure that you @ Daniel Lowry so that it pops up really well on my chat screen. And I don't miss it because I hate missing questions, because especially when they're good ones. It does happen from time to time, and it still will happen. But again, it's about lowering that probability or raising that probability, whatever. It just depends on your perspective, I guess. Let's see here. The Pain says, I have all the soft skills, abilities a job asks for. I do not have the college degree, years of experience, and what they want. How do you sell your what they need? Oh, gotcha. How do you sell that you are what they need, but not what they asked for? That's a great question. That's a tasty drink right there. I'm not going to lie. Basically, it all boils down to showing your work. We talk a lot about this. And then, so definitely come hang out with us, because this is a topic of conversation that comes up a lot, and we tend to tease this out quite a bit. But the basics of it are show your work. Do everything you can so that you can show your work. I don't have a degree. Cool. I know you're asking for one, but really, what does that mean at the end of the day? What does it mean to have a degree? It means that I went through a program that taught me X, Y, and Z things that are kind of a baseline in the community of foundational things that I should know, and maybe some things to a deeper extent, like operating systems and networking and cybersecurity fundamentals and so on and so forth, right? Well, a degree is one way to do that, and it's a really good way to say, hey, if you have a degree, I know you know those things. And it's an easy button. You just show me your degree. So to your point, how do I prove that I have that information, but I just didn't do it that traditional route? I did it a different route. Show your work. This is where you have to create blogs. You have to do write-ups, you got to do GitHub, make YouTube videos. That's the kind of stuff that is going to fill that gap for you. When it comes to experience, I don't have the experience. Let's make sure that we are defining our terms. You have two things, right? Get in front of my camera. You got one, IT, and you got cyber experience. You want to put them together, right? IT comes before cyber security. It's just how it works. Just typically, again, we're speaking in generalities here. You can show me edge cases all day long. I know people that their first job in IT was cybersecurity, even pen testing and things of that nature. Their very first job was that. They are the exception, not the rule. The rule typically ends up being you did something in IT for a couple of years, you were in IT, and then you transitioned into cybersecurity. That is a very well-trodden path, which is why it is what we suggest to do. Well, I say we, the people that you're asking these questions to, that have the experience, that went down that road. I don't care. I mean, if you go get a pen testing job today, what up? I will slap you on the back and say, attaboy, good job. I have no jealousy that I don't know many people that feel that way. We think it's awesome. We're just trying to give you the best advice we can so that you are successful in getting those jobs, which is why we typically say, hey, a great, well-worn path to this is to get a job in IT somewhere. A lot of times now that does include things like working at an MSP, doing some sort of cloud admin, learn Office 365 or Microsoft 365 really well and be able to admin that so that you can get a job as an admin doing those things, get on a help desk, get workstation support, do something so that you can get a couple of years. And that is what it means when you go to cybersecurity and they say, hey, we need X amount of experience, even though this is an entry-level job. That's just how that works. That's the reality of it. I don't make the rules. I'm just telling you about it. So if you haven't done that and you're still looking to get experience, do your own security research, right? Volunteer. You can bug bounty, right? There's other ways in which you can get some experience. Start your own small business and freelance. These are all phenomenal ways, and you actually do real work, which is actual real experience. And then, of course, double down on that. Throw on top of the pile the fact that you're doing Try Hack Me and Hack the Box and all the other cyber rangers that are out there. So was it Blue Team Labs Online? You got that if you want to go that Blue Team route. I think they all kind of got some Blue Team stuff now. But I think Security Blue Team was one of the more forefront of that effort. But there you go. Show your work. And I'll give you here's extra. Here's a little extra. A PS. Find some niche. Go in your, when you're not learning those foundations, you're not making those write-ups, you're not doing all that stuff, take some time and specialize in something that's really useful, like Kubernetes, right? Kubernetes was in the news this week about a flaw, right? If you know, Kubernetes basically runs many, many, many different containerized and virtualized workstations that are in the cloud. It's Kubernetes. It's just how it goes, right? So go learn something niche so that you can add that to that resume and then show your work, right? Show how you can show your work by spinning up anything that you can get your hands on. You can do this in AWS, Linode, DigitalOcean, Azure, you name it. Go out there and just build the thing, document what you did, show your work. That documentation is going to be how you can show them, yeah, I might not have what you're asking for, but I am what you are looking for. Hopefully that helps. All right. Then it said Josh Mason was here. Everybody go download Nessus and put it in a VM. Play around with it. Grab a vulnerable VM and chuck it at it and see what happens. Great stuff today. Thank you, Wayne. I'm glad everybody is enjoying this. A lot of good conversation going on. The monster is kicking in. It's finally doing its business. You know, I just haven't gotten enough. There we go. All right, let's see here. Okay, cool. Everybody just seems to be kind of like talking. That's awesome. This takes me to something I thought was interesting this week. Because I'm kind of close to it. at least less than 6 steps away. I don't know if you guys saw. Let me see if I can bring this up before I show you the screen. I'll look it up. And educate. Let's see here. I think there was like a LinkedIn post. I'm not logged into LinkedIn, but let's see if I can see it anyway. Yes, excellent. Let's go there. I don't know if you guys saw this post this week, but Heath Adams from TCM Security, the cyber mentor himself, I'm excited to share that TCM Security is joining forces with Educate 360, a partnership that strengthens our ability to provide high-quality, practical, and accessible cybersecurity offerings. As we look ahead to the next phase of TCM Security's growth, we want to ensure that we have the right partnership, and so on and so forth. So basically, they're saying that this is a partnership, right? Yeah. Right? Isn't that what they said? Yeah, partnership that strengthens. I'm not seeing merger. I'm not seeing acquisition. It seems like it's a merger. I don't know what's going on. I'm just telling you my thoughts and ideas on this. But they're not the only thing that happened, right? We also have TrustedSec, and what was it? I think they actually did acquire. Let's see here, acquisition, TrustedSec. Yeah, Trimarc. That's who they got. TrustedSec. Okay, yeah, thank you. I can skip the ad in 2 seconds. 1 second, and goodbye. They grabbed up Trimarc. And then Google and Wiz, which I was shocked to see. Google announces Wiz acquisition. I was shocked because I think Google tried to buy Wiz a couple of times for I think this was like $38 billion or some insane amounts of money that they purchased Wiz for. I'm really interested in this one with Heath and TCM Security partnering up with Educate 360. I was not familiar with Educate 360, and when I looked them up, Educate 360, and I looked at their site, I watched this video, right? And it really struck me as more business focused, right? Look, I mean, you can't hear the guy because, I got the sound kind of abstracted away, but he's in full business attire. This guy's a CEO, obviously. I think he's CEO, right? Isn't that what they said it was? But yeah, this is more of a business focused training organization. And that is who TCM Security has now partnered with. Again, I don't know exactly what that means, but as someone who has seen that happen firsthand, it is an interesting thing. And this is something I wanted to get the conversation going with you guys about. What do you think about this? What do you think do you think that this is the end of TCM Security as we know it in a bad way, in a good way, or it'll just continue to be what it is and grow and have a bigger reach? Excuse me. I definitely have my own experience with this. Now, myself, well, obviously Zach Hill, right? Zach, he worked at TCM. He helped build that organization to what it is. Obviously, it wasn't him alone. It was a group effort, but Zach was one of the major players in that. And back after a place I used to work, well, we call IT Pro TV. Back when IT Pro TV got acquired, what was funny was when that happened, the people were not calling it an acquisition. They were saying it was a merger. We're coming together. This is two companies coming together. And I remember the talk around the water cooler of it being, hey, the reason they wanted to partner with us, and that was the words that were used, was because they love what we do. And they see they're not going to want to change it at all, because why would they? It's effective. It's working. And that's why they wanted to partner with us. That's why they want to be a part and kind of married together. And you're like, okay. And then after, and we'll continue the marriage analogy. When the honeymoon was over, things started to change. So I hope that doesn't happen with Heath. Heath tried to bring me on as a trainer a while back. I really appreciate the offer at the time, especially at the time and still now, because I respect Heath. I respect the work that he's done with TCM. I respect TCM and the people that work there. I don't know anything about Educate 360. I know that Heath is a really good dude. Is a really good dude, and I hope, upon hope, that this is the exception and not the rule. But you can only imagine. My personal feelings is they're going to start becoming more focused on B2B sales, and the consumer, the customer, the average Joe and Jane, you and me out there that just want to get cool training, they stop going after us. They will for a while, but eventually we just go after deep pockets. And especially if they bring on any kind of venture capitalism or private equity, they can be a very strong force with that board that has invested into your company. They want to see the venture capitalism and private equity firms. They're only in the business of making money. That is their job. I am a capitalist. I will throw it out there, right? I'm a capitalist. I believe in capitalism. I like capitalism. I'm not a huge fan of crony capitalism. I'm not a huge fan of the worst parts of capitalism, which can be just unadulterated greed. I can be a fan of it and still recognize that it has its flaws. Overall, I still find it to be a useful tool and the most fair system I've seen. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on that, but I just want to put that out there so you can hear what I'm saying when I'm talking about this. So I hope that does not occur, that they just become a profits driven. I know that that's not Heath's here. I know it's definitely not here on him, so I would never say that. I'm just going to keep an eye on things. And I've seen this happen a lot, and the trend seems to be that that's how it goes. But fingers crossed, that's not what happens here. I congratulate them on all their success. I hope they continue to have success. But don't forget us, right? I think that was the biggest mistake that happened at IT Pro TV and the other company that we'll use the word acquired, because they did, and started to push for. Thanks for the open bias. Yeah, I want to let you know where I'm coming from. Yeah, greed no bueno, Max T. Greed no bueno. And when that becomes your sole driving purpose, let me just put it this way: if I ever start a training company of my own, I probably won't even go for business to business sales. And if it is, it would just be small businesses, because it can be difficult. Like the things that large businesses need to be able to manage their teams and make sure they're getting the skills and the training, and that their team is actually doing it, how far they are, and assessing what skills they can, blah, 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 blah. That's a lot of work, and you need a lot of tooling that specializes in being able to gather those metrics, there's a lot of stuff that goes on the back end that you and I never really see. I did, because I was a part of it. I do see it. I do know how that works. And that can become the focus. And the people with deep pockets, the governments, academia, and large business, right? It's big, even mid-sized businesses. They have more money than the rest of us. So it can be, it's too much of a lure for. Look at me, I'm already at 11 o'clock. I didn't even recognize the time. But maybe we'll go a little long today. It can be too much of a lure for people to be like, well, man, we don't have to go after consumers any longer. We can just go after the deep pockets and make buku bucks. Again, make big money. I get that. It's just hard to see things that started off being a way to help people get into their job, their dream job. Maybe I know I I loved cybersecurity. I thought it was so cool, and I just wanted to learn about it and know about it, and maybe even have the honor and privilege of being able to work in that space in some way, shape, or form. And that's why when I started creating training for people, that's what it was geared for. It was geared for people that were changing their lives, getting into something that they really loved, they were passionate about, that I was passionate about. And me saying, man, I know all the training that I've taken, and most of it sucks, right? Just voice over PowerPoint. Hey, let's camp out on a slide for 20 minutes. Right? That junk sucks. And I never wanted to make that training. So I was like, nope. And I would go to my superiors. I'm like, here's how and they would say, make the training you wish you'd have had. I said, perfect. And that's how I make training. That's why I do things the way I do things, is because that is my modus operandi, is to make the training that I wish I had. When I answer the questions that I wish that I had gotten answered, because I was always that kid in the class going, but why? And hating someone telling me, just hit the I believe button. Okay. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, that is a necessary evil. You have to hit the I believe button so we can move the ball far enough down the road that we can give you enough context to answer that question. But if you never answer that question, that's when I'm like, this sucks, right? You just bloviates about topics and concepts and keep it at super high level. I'm like, no, show me the thing. Do the thing. You got a computer in front of you, bro. Just do it. And so I was like, well, if I make training, that's how it's going to be. So that's how I make training. And that's how I hope. Again, I saw it was big news, right? TCM just still going up in the world. I'm going to jump in the chat here real quick and see what y'all have had to say. Let's see here. Where did I leave off? Haircut Fish says he missed what monster I was choosing this morning. It was this one. The Ultra Paradise, the green one. The green monster. Let's see here. Try hack me as a Nessus room. TCM might be changing platforms. It could happen, right? Everything I've heard about TCM seems optimistic. I know a few people and have chatted with them. That's Justin Gold. That's awesome, man. Like I said, I am optimistic. I hope. I've heard good things as well. So fingers crossed. It's really too early. It's really too early to say. We don't know. You know, this is just usually step one in the down the road. So I'm going to be following this closely. I would love to be able to continue to say, need some, I stamp of approval on TCM security, right? As we can right now, you can totally get the stamp of approval there. Hey, John V's here. What's up? Hey, what's up, Taekwon Gong? Glad to see you. Let's see here. Correlation 1 is launching their DoD Cyber Sentinel Challenge in 2025. Did it last year. It was a really good time. Great opportunity for job seekers. Okay, cool. Looks like we're talking about The Wiz. Sounds like a movie. It is a movie with Michael Jackson, if I'm not mistaken. Right? It was a sequel, if I'm not mistaken, or some sort of other take on The Wizard of Oz. The last offer, okay, Code Bruce says the last offer for Wiz was $23 billion. They just had to up their offer. Wow, man, that is insane money. It's so crazy to think that there's these entities out there that have that level of wealth. I mean, it's just crazy. But 20 years ago when we were that, like, if you had $1 or $2 billion, that was amazing. It's going to continue to grow. It's just how money works. Let's see. Mr. Gunkel says, have you looked into... Oh, I can't. I mean, my eyes are getting horrible. Hello. Let's go here. Try this. Have I looked into tail scale? Tall scale? I think it says tail scale. How secure is it? Would I recommend? I have not looked into it. XT has $signs. Yeah, I get it, right? I get that. But just don't let it blind you. Don't let it overwhelm you. It's cool to make money, but Whiz sounds like a biological event. Oh man, I love you, chat people. You guys are so awesome. Work is betting on how long it's going to take Google to make Whiz meh. So they have a term for that. Let's go play with that, right? For those of you that have never heard it before, it is called enshittification. And there you go. Enshittification. What is it? How can we stop it? It is a fun idea. The internet, creator and destroyer of the internet. Right. I even think there's a Wikipedia entry for enshittification. Right? Where's it at? Tell me you've got one. Enshittification wiki. There you go. Enshittification, Wikipedia. Enshittification, also known as crapification and platform decay, is the term used to describe the pattern in which online products and services decline in their quality over time. Initially, vendors create a high-quality offering to attract users. Then they degrade those offerings to better serve the business customers. And finally, degrade their services to users and business customers to maximize profits for shareholders. I have seen that exact thing happen. Writer Cory Doctorow coined the neologism enshittification in November 2022, though he was not the first to describe and label the concept. But there you go. It was selected as the word of the year for 2023. Interesting stuff. Here's the history. It's a fun little concept, and it absolutely happens. There's even a talk that was given at, I think it was DEF CON last year. DEF CON, I think it's called Enshittify or Die. Right? Yep, there it is. I'll drop this link in the chat. Copy. Oh, I got a lot of chat to get through. Paste and go. There you go. You get a little time. I don't agree with everything this person is saying, but for the most part, I do. It is Cory. Okay, yeah. Very, very insightful, and I would say 90% at least of the stuff they were talking about, that Cory was talking about. I absolutely have seen and has in my estimation is absolutely true. I know we're going a little long today. Thanks for everybody that gets to hang out. I know some of you probably have to get to work or go to lunch or do whatever. But let's see here. I remember someone saying that TCM sucks at capitalism less than anti-siphon. Sucks at capitalism is what you meant to say, Carrie Taylor. Thank you. That's funny. That is anti-siphon's business motto, sucking at capitalism. Proudly sucking at capitalism. John always says, the more I give away, the more money I make. I don't know how that works, but it does. So we try to give away a lot of stuff. We try to make a lot of stuff easily accessible and as high quality as possible. Yeah. Let's see here. Code Brew asked, do I see any parallels? Okay, I think I saw that. Taekwon Gong says, I'm beginning to believe that if one doesn't have a pen testing cert, then no one will be able to get in. Your thoughts? Now, I've seen plenty of, I know people that don't have pen testing certs or didn't have one when they got their first job. Something like OSCP can just right now, and now TCM's PNPT, GPen, they've got a bit of a pedigree, and they're known in the industry, so they can be a bit of an easy button for people. And again, when you're talking about acquiring a job, you got to put yourself in the position of the person that's hiring. What are they hiring you to do? Something that's highly technical, very specialized, requires a lot of trust. They don't, their business, a lot of shops don't have internal pen testers. They hire pen testing firms, right? So you can get on with companies like Deloitte or Booz Allen, those kind of places that specialize in, they'll hire junior pen testers because they're super big. So they have the space to bring them on, let them do entry-level jobs, shadow and work with seniors get the experience they need so that they can upskill them to a senior. So going after those jobs are probably going to be your best bet. But if you're going for a smaller pen testing firm, a boutique, then I know that great things to do is bigger than certs is if you've gotten an internship. A lot of them really like to see a degree from a well-known cybersecurity degree program. And there's a lot of them out there. I think Rochester Institute of Technology is one of them. Obviously, if you went to like MIT or something, or Georgia Tech. I know Dakota. No, is it North or South Dakota? Dakota State University. They have a very well-known. So they're out there. Caltech, obviously, right? The bigger names, the bigger schools. So you can get a good cybersecurity degree, and you don't need a cert. Other than that, it goes right back to what we talked about before, showing your work. You need to be able to prove, and those certs are easy buttons for proving that. So if you're not going to get certs, then you got to go that route. You have to be able to show them that they can trust that you know what you're talking about easily. So you have to make that the easy button for them by showing that work really well. That's going to be on you. Other than that, and I get it. Some of these certs are like expensive and difficult to obtain. PNPT seems to be fairly reasonable, right? GPen, no. It's a bit expensive. OSCP is a bit expensive, but they're not the only games in town anymore. There's a lot of competition out there. So start looking at a path of, okay, well, what cert can I get? At least I've got something. Don't just do nothing. At least you can get something. Security Plus, get Security Plus, right? Go after like EJPT, right? Get that junior pen testing cert there. They're not quite as expensive as some of the others, and you still got something, right? Oh, let's see here. All right, we're going to call it a day here in just a minute. I just want to make sure I'm going to clean up chat. See what else we got going on. Love BHIS and anti-siphon. So do I. Wayne's Real World. Thank you so much. Thank you for your weekly stream. Thank you for joining me. I got one question just popped in. The recent update to OpenAI is generating phenomenal images. They are. Are captchas about to be outdated? I don't know. Because just because it can create an image, listen, AI doesn't, even though it can create images that are really great, doesn't mean they understand them very well. And captchas are more about understanding the image. So that's where we need to be worried about in their advancement of is how well they can understand the concepts going along in the image. Liz W. asks some thoughts on CISSP. Costs a bit of money. It's a bear of an exam. So get ready. You better strap a helmet on and pack a lunch because it's no joke. Lots of information to be had. It costs a little bit. There's some steps involved as far as like you've got like a practical as well as you need someone who's like sponsoring you that is CISSP. You got to maintain CPEs. It's a bear. It can be a good cert though, right? Depending on where in the business you're trying to get in. It's not so relevant to a pen tester overtly. It does benefit pen testing in ways, especially when it comes to like risk assessment, risk analysis, understanding how vulnerabilities affect an organization from a threat side of things. What's the fallout from a breach, that kind of stuff. Being able to explain that to the C-suite is going to go a long way. So it can help in there. I don't have my CSSP. I have no aspirations to get it, but it does definitely have value and weight in the security world. So there you go. Yeah, Wayne's Real World nails it. It's hit and miss. Depends on what you think. All right, everyone. It is about to be 11:15, and we did go a little long day, but I think we had some really good conversation. I thank you for joining me. You know what to do with all the buttons down at the bottom, right? Make sure you liking is probably one of the best things you can do. Of course, the vanity metrics of subscribing is always nice. If you were to do that, I would appreciate it. Oh, let's see here. Sierra Montgomery says, caught the tail end. Great content. I'll catch up on replay. Thanks, Daniel and Wayne. Have a great weekend. You too, Sierra. Everybody have a great weekend. And until next week, thank you for joining me and keep hacking.